What is the problem of divine power? Have you ever wondered how the idea of an all-powerful and perfectly good God fits with the existence of evil in the world? This question leads us to the problem of divine power. It focuses on the tension between divine attributes and the reality of suffering and moral imperfection. At its core, this issue challenges how we think about God's omnipotence, or all-powerfulness, and omnibenevolence, or perfect goodness. If God is truly all-powerful, then God should be able to prevent evil. If God is perfectly good, then God should want to prevent evil. Yet, evil exists. This creates a paradox known as the problem of evil. One perspective on divine power is absolute divine power. This view suggests that God is the sole cause of everything that happens. If this is true, then God would be responsible for all events, including evil. This raises a conflict with God's perfect goodness. Another perspective is limited or delegated divine power. This idea proposes that God chooses to limit divine power by allowing nature and human beings to have autonomy. In this view, evil and moral wrongdoing come from the free will of creatures or natural processes that are beyond God's direct control. While this preserves human moral responsibility, it raises questions about why an all-powerful God would allow such freedom, knowing it could lead to evil. Some philosophers argue that God has the freedom to act in ways that are morally imperfect but chooses not to because of God's stable, perfectly good nature. This view attempts to reconcile divine omnipotence with moral perfection by suggesting that God's nature prevents God from doing evil, even if it is logically possible. The problem of divine power also connects with the Euthyphro dilemma. This dilemma asks whether something is good because God commands it, or if God commands it because it is good. This question challenges the relationship between divine power and morality. If moral goodness exists independently of God, then God's power is limited by an external moral standard. On the other hand, if moral goodness depends solely on God's commands, then morality could become arbitrary. To address this, some ethical theories suggest that morality is grounded in God's unchanging, perfectly good nature. This view maintains that God is the source of moral law but is not subject to any external standard. This way, both divine omnipotence and moral perfection can coexist. In practical terms, the problem of divine power influences how we understand moral responsibility, free will, and the nature of good and evil. It raises important questions about whether humans can be truly free if God controls everything. It also invites us to think about how we interpret suffering and injustice in a world governed by a morally perfect being. Ultimately, the problem of divine power challenges traditional views about God and morality. It encourages ongoing reflection on how divine attributes relate to moral principles and human experience. Understanding this problem can help us navigate our moral obligations in light of divine nature and power.